Good afternoon, welcome back to T3 and your tech news in 5 minutes or less. In the headlines this week, we have more info on the very bad virus, Apple with their hands in the cookie jar, and some new information on the AMD 4000 series. Now, in news regarding the very bad virus that shall not be named, not Lord Voldemort, it's COVID-19. And it has finally landed here in South Africa. Well, not finally, we weren't expecting it sitting with welcome boards upon the boats, but it has landed in South Africa and we have an official elbow greeting. So get your elbows going, boys and girls, because that's how you're going to be shaking hands from now on, at least according to Cyril Ramaphosa. Now, they are taking actually really good precautions against it. I do honestly think, though, comparatively speaking to, a lot of other cases of viruses and breakouts, the SARS 2003 breakout being a lot more intense as far as mortality and stuff goes. Obviously, it's harsh on the elderly and the weak, and there's no underplaying that. But I do think this kind of panic buying phase that South Africans are going through right now, clearing shelves, is really uncalled for. It's completely overkill because we're seeing what's happening overseas and we're trying to emulate that now. And you guys are just hurting each other massively. The queues are ridiculous. The shelf clearing is ridiculous. There's no implied there's not going to be food. Nobody said that there was going to be any kind of stop on the food production in South Africa, so why go out and massively overbuy? Personally, I think this is very, very, very poor form from the general South African public. In tech news regarding the virus, Nvidia has cancelled their GTC announcements. They've canned the entire project of that scenario that they were going to set up, and they've decided to do it at a later stage. This is going to be a trend generally for events across the board. All of them are going to be cancelled or postponed. Then we had companies like CG Project Red coming out and saying they're enabling their people to work from home. Now, in a company like that where it's all digitally based, I don't think they would have a limitation in doing that. I just think it's a better practice, obviously, for the social distancing to keep that spread of the virus down. And as a result of all of this, Steam saw its highest concurrent user record smashed, with over 20 million people connecting on the platform. One can only assume that people are working from home. Moving on to AMD 4000 series news, we did see their whole die setup and how it's going to function, and there is some APU goodness that they are going to be slinging with their HS series chips. There's a 4900 HS as well, which is going to be aimed at us, the gamers, for discrete graphics inclusion in builds, and it's only using 35 watts, which is actually really impressive. So you're not going to have a massive power brick to run like a 1660 Ti with that. You're probably looking at about 120 watt, which is really good news for mobility factors. As a reference point, the APUs, the Vega 11 that was included in their other APUs is about the same as a GT 1030, which is about the same as a GTX 750 Ti. So it's the mid-range of yesteryear, which means it can actually game as well, do casual gaming and that sort of stuff. But more importantly, video editing and 3D, you would be able to do that in a rudimentary style on the go without having to break the bank. In Apple news, they've been caught with their hands in the cookie jar, naughty Apple, by the French Competition Commission, who have said that they are favoring certain suppliers and certain wholesale agreements while over-favoring them, to the tune of a $1.2 billion fine. Some of their subsidiaries also saw a couple $1 million fines levied against them. Of course, Apple is appealing, saying that it's going to hurt the majority of the market. But don't be naughty then, Apple. No one will have to smack you on the hand. And finally, in gaming news, what an awesome week for gaming. The Slayer returns in Doom Eternal. There is a bunch of gameplay footage online, so if you guys want to have a look at that, there's plenty to go around. There's been a lot of development into this title, especially when compared to Doom 2016. They are really taking it to the next level on so many fronts. I've actually been watching the input into this game. Personally, as an FPS gamer, it does look like an absolute mental uphill challenge to play it on the hardest difficulty, so I'm looking really forward to that. Then in GTA 6 news, it does look like we might be returning to Vice City. A user has clipped a picture of the map and likened it to areas in Mexico and Florida perhaps, which is Florida being the place that Vice City originally was set. All we can say to that is, hey Tony, how you doing? And lastly, Capcom has announced that their Resident Evil 3 demo will drop on Thursday. Finally, we can enter the Nemesis. Thank you all so much for watching. That is all we have time for today. So keep your lives ticking and your games wrecking. We'll see you next time.